This video is only for my subscribers and the men that I coach. This is not for greater society. It would be deemed controversial, but not because there's anything wrong with it, but because if you scale this advice up, it's because if every man in society played this game, it would effectively destroy society. So what we do need is we need what 95% of men to get a girlfriend early. We need them to get married before they turn 30 and marry a girl that is maybe 5 years younger. So when they turn 30, they marry a girl that's about 25 years old. Start having children when the guy reaches about 35 and his wife's about 30. They have worked, they haven't slept around, they haven't partied, they haven't enjoyed their lives. By the time he's 35, have children, make sure that he's married before that as well, produce more than 2 or 3 children to replace the next generation, and do that around 35 or younger if possible, so that you can replenish for the greater society. We need the next generation of taxpayers to come through. Don't sleep around, don't get a divorce, stick together. Bring up your children, get them to do the same thing, and that is good for society. We need 95% of people to do that. This advice is for the guys that I coach, the guys that are outside of the norm, the guys that want something better for their own lives and are willing to take advantage of the fact that 95% of men are going to play that game. This is their journey. Let them have that journey. I'm pitching a better journey for you. But before we kick it off, I'm Dave, and this channel is dedicated to giving you no bullshit, novel dating advice for the modern man. In the description, you can sign up to get some one-on-one coaching with me, and you can do some in-person coaching anywhere around the world, where I teach the sweet art of cold approach. So, you should never, ever, ever have a girlfriend in your 20s. You should not. If you are a man of the world, if you get a girlfriend in your 20s, you are setting yourself up for disaster. I guess the best case scenario is that you are 29 and 3/4 years old and you find yourself an 18-year-old girlfriend. That's probably the only real scenario that would work here. She's 11 years younger than you, and you've got a decade. You can wait until you're 40 or 40 and a little bit more, until she hits about 30. She hits about the wall, and then you have some kids, right? And you've got this hot girl that she's gonna be hot until she's like 30, and then you have some kids, and then you run that game, and you can have your midlife crisis a little bit later on. That's probably the only scenario that can work for you in this framework that I'm trying to pitch. Now, to start with, I have made a video previously, if you check my channel, where I had a look at Top Gun 1, where Tom Cruise was back in the 80s when he made Top Gun 1, and the girl that was his romantic interest in the movie, I forgot her name, but now we have photos of them in the 80s and they looked hot, and she was hot. She was smoking hot. And now we have photos of them side by side today. Tom Cruise just looks a little bit older, not too much different, and she looks like she could be his mum. So men, we slowly rise. Our mate value increases till we're about 40, and then it peters out, and then about 55, 60, depending on how well you look after yourself. Obviously, a lot of you guys, if you're drinking and you're partying and you're ruining your life, you're going to look terrible by the time you're 50. But we go up and we run our race, and we stay. We're still rising in value until we're about 40. And then we hit this plateau. And women, they go boom as soon as they turn say 18. They're like boom, and then it's 21, and then at 21 it is literally just goes directly down by the time they're 25, 30, because men are judged based on their charisma, what they provide to the world, what type of value do you add to the world, how intelligent, how ambitious you are. Ambition is very powerful. What potential do you have? You know, like are you intelligent? Are you conscientious? Are you hardworking? What do you add to society? And have you transferred that into some sort of a skill? Do you have wealth? Can you be a provider for children? These are all things that women, they admire in a man. And obviously, if you are overweight and you are ugly and you're deliberately destroying your body with bad food and you're not working out and doing things to at least keep yourself on the level, well, you're hurting your own mate value, aren't you? Genetically, you should be a lot higher than where you are, and you're destroying it yourself. Women, on the other hand, they peak when they're about 18. You know, they peak 18, 19, 20, you know, they boom, and then boom, by 25, it's just goes down. And their value is based on their looks. And that's not me just throwing out some anecdotal, subjective opinion of mine. That's the facts. And that's why you'll see an 18-year-old guy being treated like he's a nobody. A 21-year-old guy being discarded by society, treated like he's nothing. And a 21-year-old girl who's cute and pretty, hasn't done anything for society, being put on a pedestal, getting that job in the newsroom just because she's pretty, getting a promotion just because she's pretty and everyone, you know, is attracted to her. So this is how society really works, and this is how it is. Now, if you, in your 20s, you actually get yourself a girlfriend, just say you're 21, worst case scenario, and you find yourself a girlfriend who's 21 as well. You met in university, for instance. You're both 21, you finish your university degree, you're in love, you've got the one-itis, you're with this one girl, and then you go off into the world, you move in together, you get married. By 25, you might start hitting the gym a little bit more. You get a little bit more body mass going on. You got a degree, you're a little bit more educated, you're making money. Your looks start to increase. By 25, your girlfriend of 25 is starting to she's starting to decrease. In fact, you will be better looking than your girlfriend most cases at 25. By the time you're 30, she's going to be, okay, I'm finished with my career, I need some babies. And you're going to be at 30 going, wow, my career's just taking off. I've got another decade of awesomeness ahead of me, and she's already run her race. And then when you're 40, usually this is part of the issue, is we have a huge divorce rate. I think it's like 52, 55% or more, and 80% of all, these are actual stats. I'll see if I can put them on the screen. If I can't, you're going to have to take my word for it or Google it yourself. 80% of all divorces are initiated by the woman, which is also counterintuitive when you think about it. So if I was to tell you that you're going to catch a flight, your next flight to Hawaii this year for holidays, and there's a 52% chance that the plane's going to crash and you're going to lose half your money and you're going to be paying alimony or child support for the next 15 years, would you catch that flight? No, you wouldn't. It's not just getting married, but what it is during your 20s, now that's the relationship issue, and the fact that you will be able to get better looking girls when you learn game. Okay, that's the first part that I wanted to cover. The second part is just financially. Okay, let's just think about this on a financial standpoint, because that's where marriage can really be a tricky situation for men. Financially, you're building your skills, you're building your network, you're building yourself up. Joseph Stiglitz, who's a great American economist, he wrote a book recently where he says that the number one thing that you can do to ensure that you'll be a success in life is have the right parents. And then he goes on to say, well, you don't really have that choice, do you? So let's just say that you have had good parents, they're together, they didn't get divorced. If you brought up by divorced parents, that really destroys your probability of being successful in later life. It really does, because what happens is you start this race when you turn 18 and you leave, say, high school or whatever. That's when the race begins. And if you don't have a solid platform of good parenting, parents that are not divorced, you have a stable home life, if you don't have any of those, and because we have a 55% divorce rate already, 55% of you out there will be coming from divorced families. You would have been brought up by a single parent. So therefore, that platform's not there for 55% of you watching this video right now. Statistically, that is true. And so if you're not starting with a good platform, you have a broken home, you're brought up by a single mother or something like that, this platform, you're starting the race at a lower level. You got two guys, one guy from a family that is put together and one guy from a broken family. The platform's up here for the guy that has two parents. And the platform's down here, and you're trying to race as you get older and you start to decline in age and all these other issues. You're behind them. Now, if you come from a single parent, like 55% of you probably are, and you get into a relationship because you need some sort of love, you have all those issues back at home, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna fall in love. You're more likely to have emotional problems from breaking up with girlfriends. You're more likely to accidentally have a pregnancy and things like that are going to negatively affect your financial freedom later on in life. You see, in your 20s, you're setting a platform that can skyrocket the rest of your life and put you in a situation that guarantees you'll be able to afford kids, guarantees that you'll be able to travel the world, guarantees that you'll be able to start buying property and multiples of properties so that you can have a good retirement. And the 65-year-old man who's retired and has 5 houses and can just sit back as a rent-seeking parasite, which is a very small minority of the world's population, they started with a good platform. They had good parents generally, you see? And so if you're in your 20s and you're getting into a relationship and you're spending your time with this one girl, firstly, we've already discussed that her mate value is going to decline like nothing else. And in your 40s, you're going to be in your 30s and have money that you've lost money, by the way, you spent on the relationship that you should have been spending on yourself and your own education and your future instead. That money and that status that you have is going to guarantee that you could get hot girls in your 20s. That's one negative aspect of getting into serious relationships in your 20s. You're disrupting your education, your financial, your emotional stability, and you're not building a solid platform for the rest of your life. Getting into a relationship in your 20s can literally destroy every aspect of your life. So what do? Well, this is another aspect of the divorce rate, you see. And again, this is why this video is only for my subscribers and my coaching clients. This is just for the small amount of people that watch my channel. This is not for 95% or more of society, because I believe that 95% of society should get a girlfriend at 21. They should meet their girlfriend. Most guys should meet their girlfriend for society, not for you. This is bad for the man, but the more of these guys that we have out there that leave university, get their degree, find a girlfriend in university, and pay taxes, join the rat race, try to climb the corporate ladder, become those bitter guys that when they reach their mid-30s, they just have enough money to buy a BMW just to keep up with the Joneses, and continue paying taxes and supporting the economy. these guys are good for society. They have kids, they do all the good things that keep society stable. Now you guys, this gives you an opportunity, because of all of their hard work, this gives you an opportunity to have a better life. And that better life is avoid relationships, just have short-term relationships. And that's what I coach. I coach the sweet art of cold approach, where you can have multiples of women in your life. You can call them girlfriends. You can tell them that they are your girlfriend, but they're not really your girlfriend. They're just girls that are borrowing you until you get into your 40s, right? They can borrow you. You can lend yourself out to all these girls. But when you get to your 40s, you know, you can lend yourself out to higher quality girls. You see, in your 20s, it is the easiest time to meet a girl because, well, there's a lot of girls around and they're all kind of down to bang anybody, right? And if you're of their age range, they're more likely to go with you. So it's easy. It's a little bit more difficult to learn game, and that's why when I pitch this to my clients, I say, look, the sweet art of cold approach, and you get yourself a regular girlfriend. Let her borrow you for a little bit, because you got places to be. You are an important man that has shit to get done, and that shit needs to happen in your 40s. And you can blow all of that without building a good platform in your 20s. You can literally ruin all of that without having a good platform in your 20s. Read my book. This is an awful story of what could go wrong in your 20s. Don't have shit go wrong like what happened to me. Don't let this happen to you. Learn the sweet art of cold approach. Focus on yourself. Build a business. Get educated. Get some skills, save some money, plan for the future. Make sure that in your 30s, you are building this foundation and boom, you're ready to skyrocket into life. And in your 20s, and if I teach you some damn game, you will be unbeatable. You will be educated, skilled. You will have the ladies. And you will also have everything else totally built around you. Don't fall into the pitfalls that 95% of men do fall into. The 20s are when you build your life and build your platform to make sure that your 60s are good, to make sure that you are in your 30s with a bullshit awesome 18-year-old girlfriend, right? And that's how we get somewhere. You need a good mentor that's been there before, and there's a huge difference between me and another 20-year-old guy in his 20s giving you coaching advice, because he doesn't know jack shit about how the world really works, the malevolence of the world. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've got experience under the belt, and that's why I bring videos like this to your guys' attention. So I hope that made sense. Some of you might disagree, some of you might agree. But all of you will know that I'm right. I'll see you guys in the next video.